Hello and welcome back to Climbing on Mount Sophia. Today I was having a conversation with a friend and a topic came up that I thought I had some insight about possibly and might be worth sharing. So the topic that he brought up was that a committee to think about the idea of reparations in San Francisco had suggested a number of economic resource transfers to individuals who are part of a lineage who has been deeply harmed and violated. And I got to thinking about this, and in the context of our whole kind of social justice conversation in our culture. And I thought I maybe hit on something a little bit interesting. So I'll see what I can do here. There's a couple tools to put on the table first. One of them is, and I'll link to videos to kind of fill out these tools much better than I will be able to articulate, I'm sure. This first one is the distinction between types of resources, particularly the notion of rivalrous versus anti-rivalrous resources. I'll link to a video from Jordan Hall explaining this notion. That's where I learned about it. So it's something like a rivalrous resource is the kind of resource you need on the material level of your existence. So it's something like, take, for example, a piece of pizza or a sandwich or an apple. If I eat it, that apple is gone. You can't eat it. So by one person or one party having the thing, another party is unable to have the thing. So this is a rivalrous resource. It corresponds roughly to the kind of resource that satisfies having needs, to draw in a distinction from Eric Fromm, which I learned through John Vervaeke. And I'll put a link to that video here, or one of the videos where John talks about it. So that's the rivalrous side. The anti-rivalrous are the kinds of resources that when more individuals have access to them, they actually become more valuable rather than being something like a zero-sum resource. They are actually exponentially more valuable by more people having access to them. So this would be, examples of this would be things like language or math or the internet, right? So the more people that are able to speak English, the better it is for me personally, because I happen to speak English. So I'm able to communicate with more people. Okay, so that's the rivalrous and the anti-rivalrous. And I think anti-rivalrous resources correspond roughly to the kind of resources that satisfy the needs that we have on the internal or emotional kind of planes of our existence. So I think the ultimate anti-rivalrous resource is love. The more people that have love, and I mean love in a very deep and meaningful way here, the more people who have it, the more valuable it is, and the better off we probably all are. And this is because once the basic material needs of having are satisfied, the being needs tend to be much more salient to us. Whether we realize it or not is another question. So these two planes of resources and needs are always in play whenever there's an interaction that happens. So and they're always in play in both interactions. So if you assume, say, a positive trade where, say, I have a bushel of apples and you have a cow or something, and we want to trade those back and forth, and we're able to do that amicably, it's a positive experience. We actually both have access to the rivalrous resources we need in the having mode, and we also have a being mode and anti-rivalrous resource enhanced, which is something like connection between people that builds trust. Trust would be a very, very, very valuable anti-rivalrous resource. But you could also say there's a negative kind of transaction where I trade you my apples, you trade me your cow, and you find in the bottom of the bushel of apples, half of them are fake or something, right? So I've I've had no integrity, right? I've not been integrated. And therefore, while I may have gained in a sense by um, defrauding you in the transaction on the rivalrous resource plane, I have actually significantly harmed myself and actually both of us on the level of the anti-rivalrous. And so a third category would be when, there's some kind of interaction over demand for rivalrous resources and both parties hurt each other, and somehow the rivalrous resource doesn't gets away, right? This is two hunters who decide to shoot at each other because they both want the deer, and the deer runs away, right? It's a negative on both ends. So one of the things that we have done for a long time as human beings in many cases is to prioritize the rivalrous at the expense of anti-rivalrous. So this is the basic take what you can get by force. Right? So this is the conquering of lands. This is the dominance hierarchy without prestige. This is the, well, in this case, this is a particular group of people enslaving another group of people and thereby enhancing their access to rivalrous resources at a massive expense on the anti-rivalrous level of reality. So, okay. So when we come to work with the problem of justice in the social interactional space, the question is something like, is there balance in these resource domains? That's part of it. I'm not going to say that's necessarily all of what justice is, but that's a big part of it. And it has to do with, does it seem as if there is equity in how these resources have been distributed? But we seem to be, and in this particular situation, in this moment of attempting to find out what social justice is and means, we're kind of stumbling around trying to figure out, how do we go about righting these kinds of wrongs or even addressing them? And it seems to me that we have this idea that we can bring justice to areas of pain and injustice in a way of modal confusion. So the having mode and the being mode, if you remember, the modal confusion of those, John Vervaeke talks a lot about this, that the confusion of trying to satisfy a being need with having something is one of our really fundamental problems, where we get confused as human beings. And I think this is what we're doing culturally when it comes to this social justice issue. We are confusing the movement of rivalrous resources and the transfer of rivalrous resources and a wealth of rivalrous resources for a healing balm on what is a very deep and serious anti-rivalrous problem. And I don't think, first of all, that doesn't work. I don't think, and we would know this quite straightforwardly if we were right at hand. If you imagine a really horrific kind of situation with a slave master who's incredibly unkind to his slaves who had been, haven't deserved it, has profited off of them and abused them in horrific ways, and in fact taken away their personal agency. And then toward the end of their life, he just gives them the equivalent in dollars of what they had, provided in rivalrous resources. you can imagine seeing a situation like that and it being almost more of a slap in the face than anything, because somehow we all know that while the rivalrous resources are important to keep us going, they're not actually the things that are most meaningful for us. What is most meaningful for us is things like connection and love, which are fundamentally anti-rivalrous. So all of this to say, I think that in this social justice conversation, we need to learn to acknowledge and pay attention to the kind of resources we are bringing to bear to bring justice to places where there has been injustice. And I would warn quite strongly that some of our current perceptions that we can ameliorate anti-rivalrous injustice with rivalrous resources are deeply misguided.